Hello again. Few of us have actually witnessed things such as shootings, muggings, or rapes. Instead, we hear about them on the news. Since newspapers and television stations cannot report everything which occurs throughout the whole world, they must select what they tell us about. This filtering of what is going on in the world and choosing what to emphasise and what to gloss over can be important in shaping our opinions about the world. There is, of course, nothing new about this. Randolph Hearst, the American newspaper magnate, used to boast that he had started the Spanish-American War at the end of the century by making sure that the slogan "Remember the Maine" was drummed into the consciousness of the average American. In a similar way, the Daily Mail was banging on about the idea of a war with Germany for years before 1914 and the start of the First World War. The BBC is a little more subtle than this in the way that they seek to alter our view of the world. They don't coin slogans and repeat them every day in an effort to brainwash the public. They use almost subliminal techniques. We don't even notice what they're doing. Nevertheless, they do have an agenda, and part of it is to persuade us that white people are dangerous and violent, and that black people are all too often the victims of white violence. Many people feel instinctively that this is the opposite of the way that things are in the real world. How does the BBC go about this self-appointed task? It's really quite clever. A week ago, an 85-year-old man in Missouri in the United States shot a teenage black boy who unexpectedly rang his doorbell. The BBC played up this case for all it was worth and made a particular point of telling everybody the ethnicity of those involved. They also followed up the initial report with how the case was developing and continued to emphasise the racial aspect. In the description to this video, I give a link to a BBC News item on this, which uses the phrase "black teenager" in the headline. When a few days later a 6-year-old girl was shot as she retrieved her ball which had rolled into somebody's garden, there was no mention of her skin colour. She was white and the man who shot her was black. In the same way, at about the same time, 2 teenage cheerleaders were shot when they got into the wrong car in error in a parking lot. Again, the BBC didn't mention that they were white, nor that the man who is accused of shooting them is not. By carefully ensuring that a headline tells us at once that a black teenager has been shot by a white man, but not specifying the ethnicity of the victim or assailants in similar cases where black people have shot white children, the BBC manages to create the impression that white people are dangerous and trigger happy, while disguising the cases where the races are reversed. It will be remembered that when a 6-year-old black child shot a white teacher in a school in America in January, BBC were very careful to conceal the ethnicities of those involved. This is just a small instance of how the BBC works to give us a slanted and biased view of the world, a world in which white people recklessly open fire on black youths, but never the reverse.